Remember the iconic Luna? The two-wheeler that zoomed its way into India's heart? Well, buckle up cause the Luna is back with an electrifying turn. Today we are sitting down with the woman who's propelling Kinetic Green into the EV revolution. The unstoppable Sulajja Firodia Motwani. From a stellar academic journey at Carnegie Mellon to leading Kinetic through the twists and turns, we explore the interesting journey of Kinetic Green from legacy to innovation.
I didn't become the boss on the first day. I must have gone to about 200 cities. Being a woman in a man's world, but yet I never had an issue with that. Battery pack, the electronics, the BMS are all now being made in India. So as a part of Kinetic Green's vision of green mobility for the masses, when the history of Kinetic Group will be written, or Firodia family will be written, the green page belongs to us. Make it glorious.
Welcome to the podcast. It's an honor to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Certainly. Ma'am, so because I myself am a college student, what were you like during your college days?
So I had a very interesting, growing up in college life. Believe it or not, I was much more interested in sports, but I was also a star academic student.
Okay.
So in our growing up days, there was this merit list, board mein aana. So I come from a family of overachievers. So all of us were merit listers. In my 10th, I was in the merit list.
Okay.
But then I used to play badminton. I was playing badminton at a inter-college, inter-school, inter-state, district, all at that level. And I wanted to pursue that. So I actually chose commerce as my line. And when I went for my admission, they said, but aapko to 95% marks hai, why are you coming to commerce? But I was very clear that I love business and I love sport. And then during my college days, of course, even in my 12th, I topped the state, not only my college, Pune, but the state. But at the same time, in the same year, I was absent at the prelims and at the half-yearly exams because I was playing badminton. So I had a lovely time because I got to do sport. I was doing well in academics. I was also part of ISEC. I don't know if you've heard of ISEC. It's a student organization that works on leadership, and it's an international student organization. And they have chapters across some 90 countries. And I was one of the leadership in the local chapter. We did a lot of interesting activities. I did a diploma in French. So I had a wonderful time doing lots of different things, and touch wood, enjoying them and doing them successfully. So I was a good student, and I was also involved in a lot of other extracurricular activities.
Okay. So I don't know, how did you manage both sports and studies? I don't know, मेरा ऐसा मानना है कि या तो आदमी स्पोर्ट्स में अच्छा होता था या तो पढ़ाई में, ये दोनों में कैसे?
Well, I can say I'm blessed with good genes when it comes to studies because I was not very studious, but I did well. And I love sports. I've always been into all kinds of sports. Even today I'm a marathon runner. I do skiing, scuba diving, mountain biking, skydiving.
All of this.
So I love sport, and I think one thing I would say though is focus. That means when I'm doing something, then I'm giving my 100% to it. So I think when I'm studying, I'm into it. When I'm doing sport, I'm giving my best to it. So I think it's a combination of passion and maybe a little bit talent and a little bit also willing to go the extra mile. I mean, of course you can laze around, but I spend that time in training or playing. So I think it's a bit of everything.
Okay. And so how did you start your professional career like?
So after my undergraduate studies here, I went to the US for my masters. I went to a very good university called Carnegie Mellon, very proud of it, for my MBA. And then I got a job from campus. I was very keen that I should work in the US and not straight come back, to the family business. So I was working in California for this investment analytics company called Bara International. And I was there for 4 years almost, and I think it was very good for me because it gave me great exposure to the corporate world, also being an employee before you become an employer, so to speak, working, traveling, learning. They were some of the best years for me. I was all of 22 years old, and I was just traveling, wearing little business suits, carrying those heavy think pads we used to use there, IBM think pads. There were no mobiles. We would leave messages on voicemail for our clients. We would drive with those paper maps. Now it's all GPS. So it was great to have that experience. But at the back of my mind, I always wanted to come back and be a part of Kinetic. I really grew up with this dream, and grew up listening to my grandfather and my father discussing business over dinner. I would sit in their meetings and listen to it. In fact, this office which we are in was my grandfather's office.
Okay.
And apparently I used to come with him to office as a 6-year-old, and I would doodle on these walls and I would tell people that my granddaughter has done this. So coming back and being part of Kinetic was always part of something I wanted to do, my life plan, so to speak. And so I came back after 6 or 7 years in the US, and I came and joined Kinetic and started working in different areas in the company.
How did you start off at Kinetic? Because मैंने आपका एक इससे पहले वाला इंटरव्यू सुना है, and it is a good story कि आपने स्टार्ट कैसे किया था जब आपने Kinetic ज्वाइन किया था. What did you do?
तो पहले तो I was coming back and I was very passionate. My company in the US, Bara, didn't want to let me go.
अच्छा.
So they said that once you are in India for a year, could you help set up the Bara India operations? So I did that for a little bit, helping them to set up the India office and all. And then started parallelly getting into the business, and worked in different areas. I didn't become the boss on the first day. For example, I worked in dealer development and sales and marketing, and I traveled all across the country. I must have gone to about 200 cities, and I must have I met dealers, I met customers, I went to dealer showrooms, their homes, and that knowledge is still with me. Like if you tell me any state, I probably have gone to not just the big cities but the tier 2, tier 3 cities. Like if you look at Andhra Pradesh, for example, of course one has been to the big cities. That time it was Hyderabad, also part of Andhra, but I've been to Vijayawada, Guntur, Tenali, Ongole, Bhimavaram, Kakinada, Rajahmundry, Warangal, so I know the real what Bharat is. And other than I think Bihar, which I think my family was not comfortable in me traveling too much, I've traveled everywhere. And that has been a great learning, and I was very hands-on. I kind of took on a lot of interest in this area, and then I went on to do other areas in the company. And then by 2003 I was heading the two-wheeler business.
Okay. Acha, so you have had quite a bit of experience in running around with sales and all. So when you start off, you're never always perfect. So there might have been shortcomings that you must have worked on. वो कैसे था, और मतलब पहले से shortcomings कौन सी थी और फिर सही कैसे किया? A lot of people identify but they're not able to fix, and most people don't identify.
So if I were to say something, एक तो मैं I've always wanted to be part of Kinetic. तो कभी ऐसे लगा ही नहीं कि मैं कुछ कर रही हूँ जिसमें I had to go, how do I say कि जो भी किया ना, it was with passion. So I embraced all the challenges because I was very passionate about it. But I think one challenge could be that I'm not an engineer. I told I went to commerce, right? Because I wanted to play badminton. And automobile is of course a man's world, but more than that, it's a completely technical world. So how do you ensure that you are able to have the right ability to take decisions if you're not an engineer in an engineering product company?
Starting mein, like when you started off, when you were not an engineer, how did you convince people to listen to you?
No, so I turned the problem on its head. I said that okay, engineers are making the vehicle, but the users are not engineers. They are people, men, women, girls, boys. They don't have to be engineers. They are customers. So why not we look at the product from the customer's angle? You are making an engine which has this much cc, this much fuel efficiency, but the customers are not buying that. They are buying power, they are buying savings, they are buying comfort. So if you think about the product from the customer use point of view, in fact that could be a strength, because then you are seeing it almost dispassionately and objectively as a customer, and benefits of your technology vis-a-vis just the intricacies or jargon of it. So I think I turned it on its head by saying that okay, if I'm a customer, what am I buying? I'm not buying engineering, I'm buying a service or a product or a convenience or a comfort or safety. So that was that. Secondly, I think over time, by being in the plant, by listening in, you learn a lot by listening and applying common sense. You are able to pretty much pick up what you need to pick up. So I think I've learned on the job. So that was one challenge, though I would say that in the beginning I felt that maybe I made a wrong decision going to commerce. And when I told my dad, I said, Dad, why didn't you tell me to do engineering? I was a good student. I could have easily done it. He said, no, I wanted you to make your own decisions, and it's fine. Just don't think of it as a shortcoming. Or main hu na. If you have some question, come to me. That's pretty much it. People think that it must have been an issue for me, as I said, being a woman in a man's world. But yet, I never had an issue with that. Though it's true that when I came to Kinetic in 1995, in our R&D, for example, or in the manufacturing factory, we didn't have ladies' toilets. Because it was those days when there were very few women in these core areas. Of course, there are women in finance and all. So I was really one of the few women. When I used to go for any of the industry body meetings, SIAM and all of these, there'd be a room of 40 men and maybe it's me and maybe another one woman, you know. So it definitely is a male dominated industry compared to most other industries. Automobile has much fewer women. And again, that I turned on its head. I said that, okay, I'm a woman, I can't change my gender. So if somebody else has a problem with me being a woman or me being a woman boss, it's his problem and not mine. There's nothing I can do about it. So let him deal with it. So that's how I dealt with any employees, you know, where I felt that they had some issue with having a woman boss, a young woman boss. I said,
those days it used to be a taboo hota tha.
I said, chalo, it's his problem, not mine. मैं उसका कुछ नहीं कर सकती हूँ. Let him figure it out. As long as I'm working as a professional, I'm working with people with sincerity, hard work, respect, and I'm working as hard and, you know, applying myself as much as they are. They will see that I'm, you know, adding value. And that's exactly how it went. You know, so I kind of was able to get a lot of support in the company. And even in the industry bodies or government meetings, I turned it on its head. I said, okay, if there are 40 men and one woman, when that one woman will speak, and if she speaks with you know, sense and she makes logical you know, points, her voice will be heard more easily. And that's exactly what happened. So when people in the industry, they remember me because they remember that I'm one of the few women leaders. So I'm sure there are many other male leaders who are as smart or smarter, as articulate or more articulate. But people remember me because I'm an exception. So I think wherever I found any adversity, I tried to give it a positive twist and not get bogged down. And that's generally my philosophy in life. You know, to always sort of look at things in a positive way.
True. Okay. And then how did Kinetic Green happen? What was the time you realized, okay, EVs are the next big thing, let me do something in this space?
So I think having worked with the family I came back in '96 from the US. And I've worked wholeheartedly for decades now. I'm in the industry for more than 25 years now. I wanted to do something new, something which would be my signature, you know, or let's say something which is where I'm adding meaningful to the legacy of the family. You know, I've come from a very you know, great legacy. I'm very proud of it. My grandfather, my father, they've created products which have become legendary. Kinetic Luna, you know, even today when I meet people, they all remember their experience with Luna, Chalmeri Luna. Kinetic Honda was a life-changing product. It gave wings of freedom to women. You know, it was the 16 to 61 bike, as they call it. Very much loved by, you know, a large, huge number of people across the country. Similarly, you know, my grandfather created the Matador and the Tracks and these kind of products which have touched lives of millions of Indians. And I wanted to do something where, you know, I take this ahead in a meaningful way. Our family has been more about service to the society than about a business which is meant to make profit. Profits will come, you know, if you create genuinely good products and, you know, bring value to whoever you are serving. But it was always about doing something which will bring convenience, comfort, savings, progress to the country and its people. So, you know, in 2014 we had just come out of our joint venture with Mahindra's in the two-wheeler ICE business. And I was looking for something new to do, which I thought would be the next chapter for the group, and in a way for me. And then I looked at many things. I looked at all kinds of possibilities. I researched. I went around the world talking to people, and I felt that green was the future. That EVs are going to be the big disruption in the auto industry, which is going to come. Maybe not in 2 years, but in, you know, a decade.
There's no other option.
Which that happened. But I'll tell you, in 2014, 15 is when I started Kinetic Green. There were more non-believers than believers. In fact, my own some family members, not my father, he always supported me, but some other people in the family said, you know, why are you wasting your time? You're such a talented girl, you know, why are you doing this? I don't think EV mein kuch hone wala hai. I said, no, I am very much convinced that this is the future. And you know, I started this company, and I think the rest is history.
True.
And even today, when I tell my team members, my colleagues in Kinetic Green, I say that when the history of Kinetic Group will be written, or Firodia family will be written, the green page belongs to us. Make it glorious. So very happy that I'm doing something which is taking this legacy ahead in a meaningful way. In fact, bringing another angle of social service, which is reducing pollution in our countries, you know, to the society. So I'm very happy about it.
Okay. So one more question, that when you were speaking about how you came about Kinetic Green, was building up a team from ground zero. Maybe, you know, you must have got new people, new engineers, people from the EV space. What do you look for in a person when you are getting him into your team?
So yes, you're right. When I started Kinetic Green, I was the employee number one. And we really built the whole team from scratch. Of course, having worked in the auto industry, you know, even then it was 15-20 years. I had my own relationships and goodwill, which I leveraged. Some of the earlier, you know, team members who were there in Kinetic with me, they had moved on to doing other things. But some of them who had stuck in my mind, I called them back. I said, you know, I'm doing this, you know, come join me. And many of them came, putting faith in that what I'm saying is, you know, the future, and also because of the relationship. And now, you know, we are a 500 plus group, Kinetic Green, completely passionate about EVs and totally focused on it. So I think we built a wonderful team. But what I look for in a team member is that I think intent and commitment and initiative. This is what I look for, because I think that if you have the right approach, the right attitude, the right intent, then you will always be able to give your best.
True.
So sometimes people have competence and they are very professional, but if they are not as excited about what you are trying to do together, their heart is not in it, you know, or they are just, you know, doing a 9-to-5 job and they are there because they have a good degree. More than that, fun is in working together. So I think look for team members who are taking initiative, who are, you know, excited about the purpose. So that's what I really enjoy, to work with people who have common passion, shared passion, who have the right intent, integrity.
True.
That's what I look for.
Okay. Acha. Also, so Kinetic Group products now, like when I was learning about the Luna, I wasn't born when Luna was a big thing. So one thing I came across was Kinetic always brought in new tech at very affordable prices. Be it the Kinetic Honda, where the self-start सबसे पहले शायद उसी में आया था, the body and all. How do you manage to bring in new technologies in a country like India, जहाँ पे होता नहीं, people are too much towards the traditional things, and how do you manage to price it so well?
So I think that's the DNA of Kinetic, the secret sauce.
Okay.
And I think that's, you really hit the nail on the head. That's what I'm trying to do in Kinetic Green also. Is that, see, India is like a pyramid, you know, you have, it's a large country, but the there's very few people at the top in terms of the rich people.
Hmm.
Then you have an upper middle class, but the masses, more than 75 crore people, means more than half the country are earning below 40,000 rupees a month.
True.
Right? And they are the ones who are the future customers of, say, two-wheelers, who are looking for affordable transport solutions. So if you create products which serve the masses, of course you're doing something which is meeting a need.
True.
But also it's a large market in the country, so you're guaranteed of having a wide audience you can talk to. So we've always believed in bringing new technology, but making it affordable to the masses. Even Kinetic Honda, as you said, was India's first not just self-start but also gearless scooter.
Okay.
Before that you had the steel scooters
Chetak.
with the Chetak with the foot brake and the geared transmission, which was not easy for, so only men could ride it. आदमी चला रहा है, बीवी पीछे बैठी है, पता नहीं एक दो बच्चे भी बैठे. But Kinetic Honda was a revolution because everybody could ride it. You could be 16, you could be 61, you could be male, you could be female, and that's what made it a big hit. But it was affordable, it was brought within the reach of people. One of the principles we use is Make in India. So to develop the solutions, understanding Indian customer market, but also working with local supply chain and finding the right mix of cost and benefit. So something called having right specifications, right? Give customers what they need and what they want, rather than you can't say that I'm going to make a car which is having 200 kilometers per hour speed but is going to cost 10 lakhs. Example I'm giving you, right? So understand your customer, what they need, and ensure that your product delivers to that and adds something innovative which they are not able to get in what they're currently using.
Okay.
Same thing, Kinetic Green's vision is green mobility for the masses, and we are looking at creating advanced electric vehicles and solutions to bring this wonderful technology within the reach of millions in India and globally.
True. Acha, you spoke about how Make in India is one of the big initiatives with Kinetic. So आज की डेट में ना electric vehicles का one of the limitations is lithium ion batteries. They're not being made in India, they're not being assembled in India in fact. So do you have any plans of building battery tech in India, or maybe do you see that development happening in India?
So it's a good question. Let me first tell you that a lot has happened on the battery front, right?
Okay.
Because we are talking to your audience, who is also looking at learning about EVs from us. So let me share that when we started Kinetic Green, lithium ion batteries were costing almost $900 per kilowatt hour of energy. That cost has now come down to $150 per kilowatt hour or even less, right? So the reduction in the cost of batteries has been phenomenal. This has happened because of two reasons. One is in research, R&D, and one is scale. Like solar, if you remember, the first solar contract in India went for 15 rupees a unit of solar energy. Now solar energy costs only 2 or 3 rupees a unit, and thermal is still costing 9. That didn't change, right? It happened because scale and because of innovation. So a lot of innovation has happened in the battery. It's becoming more and more affordable, and when we reach this point of about $100 per kilowatt hour, which we are very close to, then actually we will be very close to price parity between an ICE and EV vehicle. And in a way it's not really parity because it's oranges and apples. If you buy an ICE vehicle, let's say a scooter, electric petrol scooter, you spend about 90,000 rupees on it approximately, and then every day you spend 100 rupees on fuel, assuming 1 liter a day, whatever, 40-50 kilometers. That means in a year you spend another 35,000. So over another 3 years you spend again over a lakh of rupees. So the total cost you have spent is about 2 lakhs plus maintenance and all of that. I keep that aside. You buy an electric scooter, let's say for 1 lakh rupees. It already has a battery in it which is like 3 years of fuel or 5 years of fuel. So for the next 3 to 5 years you have to spend nothing on the fuel because it's just charging like you charge your mobile phone. So on a total cost of ownership, electric is much cheaper than ICE, right? But people look at only the upfront cost. So they're comparing apples and oranges, where you're buying an EV which vehicle worth plus fuel versus ICE which is only vehicle. But at battery at around $100 per kilowatt hour, actually EV with the fuel, with the battery in it, will cost same as a petrol vehicle, at least for light mobility, means for two-wheelers and three-wheelers. Maybe not for cars and trucks, where you need a much larger battery because you need a intercity range, but for vehicles which are smaller, we need about 100-kilometer range in a day.
That shouldn't be an issue.
It's going to be. We are very close to it, right? So that's what's is leading to accelerated adoption. Now, coming to a question about whether batteries are being made in India. Let me also tell you that we are, for example, buying our batteries only in India. We do not import any battery. We never have lithium-ion batteries also. So we have good companies here in India, like Excite, NextCharge is there. There are companies like Signy, Batrix, many companies which are now making lithium-ion batteries in India. They are assembling them. What is now being imported is only the cell, which is like the heart of the battery in a sense.
Yes.
But the battery pack, the electronics, the BMS are all now being made in India. That ecosystem has evolved. And I think I'm also happy to tell you that the government has also issued production linked incentives for making cell in India. And over the next 2 to 3 years, we will also have multiple cell manufacturing facilities which are now starting in India.
That should further bring down the cost.
Yeah, that means the entire EV supply chain will be local now, including the cell. It will further bring down the cost because you're not paying for import duty, freight, etc. Plus, I think the cell chemistry will also evolve in accordance with the weather conditions here, right? I mean, if the cells are made in Japan or Korea or Taiwan or China, the weather conditions there are not like India. They don't have the massive swing from -4 degrees to 45 degrees. So I think the cells are made here, the chemistry will be suitable for India, the research will be as per Indian condition, the cost will come down. Okay. So I think very soon you will buy EVs from us, which will have not just the battery but also the cell made in India.
But have you considered technologies or models like battery as a service, because that would bring down the cost even lower, and you're increasing the accessibility of the product. So